Hello, my loves. Welcome back to my channel, Living Healthy with Yelena. If we haven't met already, my name is Yelena, and I'm so excited to bring you another Astrology Energy update. Now, today you get a 2-for-1 special here because we're also going to be integrating some spiritual work and information into this video as well with something that we call shadow work. Now, depending on when you're tuning in, we're either about to enter or have already been immersed in the scorpionic energies, as it is Scorpio season from October 23rd to November 22nd. The Halloween vibe fits the Scorpio archetype very nicely. Scorpio is a fixed water sign, which means that they are very in tune with the depths and the constant ebbs and flows of their emotions. So water does represent emotions, and they don't necessarily prefer change, which is that fixed state. They don't like change. They don't like to be pushed out of homeostasis. Now, from here, we'll discuss the shift in energy that the Scorpio season will bring for all of us. Remember, you guys, you don't have to be a Scorpio to feel the effects of Scorpio season, as it influences the overall vibe of this time period in general. By breaking down the Scorpio archetype, we may begin to understand what this next shift in energy holds for all of us. The sign of Scorpio can be a walking contradiction. According to the only astrology book you'll ever need, they are variously described as powerful and at the same time weak, independent, as well as clinging, and passionate, but also cold. So you can probably begin to see what I mean by walking contradictions. They exhibit both qualities. This is the sign, one of the signs of the zodiac, of duality. They encompass the best and the worst of human nature. Now, if I could think of one word to describe Scorpio, it would definitely be intense. They may seem passive, calm, cool, and collected on the outside, but let me tell you, there is a turbulent storm brewing within them. They feel very, very deeply and may be known to obsess about things to their detriment. But this is not always a bad thing if it's channeled correctly. Scorpio energy is extremely persistent. They do not give up. They're extremely laser focused and extremely strong-willed. Of all the zodiac signs, they have a will to survive like no other. Now, although the human shadow runs very deep, they're able to swim their way through it and allow old aspects of themselves to die off, only to be reborn again, stronger and much more refined. Now, Scorpio rules over transformations. Just as you see in Western astrology, the signs relate to the seasons. And Scorpio season being mid-October to November, everything begins to wilt and die off. Now, I understand that this is only in the Northern Hemisphere, so we don't take this into too much seriousness, but at least it's something to take a peek at. This is bringing us into yet another death and rebirth cycle. There's always a hidden agenda with Scorpios. Their gears internally are always turning, and they're very, very strategic, sometimes almost to the point of being manipulative. Okay, so now that you understand a bit more about what this archetype holds, we'll talk a bit about what it means for us as a collective. First and foremost, there is no need to fear Scorpio season, you guys. It serves a very important purpose, as does every single turn of the zodiac wheel. Scorpio is very tied in with the darker aspects of life, exactly as to why I said it fits so nicely with Halloween. It's almost as if we're entering a haunted realm, a haunted house of some sort. And it also represents our inner psyche, sometimes referred to as our shadow. And yes, every single person on this planet has a shadow side. They might tell you that they don't because they don't want to accept it themselves. Maybe they're not aware of it, or they're repressing it, which is pushing it away unconsciously. Both of these are completely normal. However, they're not good for us at all. This causes these things to pop up when we least expect in the most inconvenient times and places. That's why it's extremely important to explore our shadow and integrate it, because it's part of us. It's part of who we are. But more on that in a bit. I want to take a different direction here for just a moment. So Scorpio has two ruling planets, Mars and Pluto. Now, Mars is currently in retrograde, which is just adding on an additional twist here to these energies, alongside Mercury is also in the sign of Scorpio, and yep, you guessed it, it's also in retrograde. This makes the energy way more intense and also way more internal than usual, which is already intense internal energy as it is. So you can only imagine how much this intensifies everything. It brings the shadow work to a level 10 and beyond, and we feel things on a whole new level, much more deep than usual. But it's important that we stay in tune with these deep feelings. Don't run from them. See the messages that they're trying to bring to you. Mars is the planet of energy, aggression, desire, and action. Pluto represents transformation, death and rebirth, which does not always have to be literal, my friends, and the subconscious mind. Now, with Scorpio also being extremely emotional and intuitive, this could also be brought up in all of us right now. We might notice we're more intuitive than usual. We may notice that we're extra focused on something more than usual, and sometimes maybe a bit obsessive if we're not in balance with ourselves. This is a great time to probe inside of yourself, to unveil your deepest, darkest truths, and find acceptance in these places. For these are the very things that block us, that hold us back and keep us stuck, that keep us in a rut. Now, if these vibes that we're in, and also being in touch with yourself like this, freak you out, no worries, but just humor me for this short season, okay? And just see where it might lead you. You, my friend, may be on the precipice of a major breakthrough when you just decide to step outside of your comfort zone, to explore the deep, dark depths of your inner psyche, the realms of the Scorpiotic energy. Try and embody the Scorpio energy, as they aren't afraid of truth, even in the darkest depths of the world or their own mind. Now, all in all, intensity is definitely ramping up in our own personal lives as well as out in the world. Shadows are rising to the surface, and a lot of people are waking up to the multitude of layers of lies and corruption that we're being faced with. The presidential election is bringing up a lot of darkness in people as well as political parties. The light is being shined on the darkness, being shined on the truth. People are much more opinionated than ever right now and unable to let go of their beliefs, holding on for dear life. Now watch yourself when it comes to jealousy and being suspicious of other people, maybe putting your nose in people's business when you shouldn't be. Instead of probing into other people's lives, gossiping, spreading rumors, obsessing over what others are doing in order to get to the bottom of a situation or maybe unveil the truth about another person and what they think and what they do, try to harness this energy and focus it on yourself. One thing Scorpios that are in their power, so the positive manifestation of Scorpio, one thing these Scorpios never do is settle for anything less than what they deserve. With that said, where in your life can you adapt this same quality? I also want you to be aware of how you speak at this time. Scorpio energy can be very blunt and unfiltered, even their humor, which is already hard for a lot of people to deal with, especially considering the sensitive nature of people and our collective as a whole right now. Also know that Mercury is retrograding in Scorpio, and Mercury rules communication. It rules the way that we perceive things, the way that we understand things. And with that said, Mars also is retrograding. Mars rules Scorpio, and Mars is the planet of aggression, anger. So you might say something a certain way to someone, and they might take it the wrong way, or there might be some type of miscommunication, misunderstanding, which could provoke aggression or anger in another person. So just be very careful with the way that you communicate right now. Tread lightly. Now on to the shadow work. If you guys are anything like me, I had a hard time at first understanding what the shadow even was and what I was supposed to do with it. So I'm going to clear that up for you. We're going to take a spiritual spin, a little deep dive, if you will, right now. The shadow is the parts of your personality that contains the parts of yourself you don't want to accept or admit to having. Just know that there are parts of these shadows that can be unlocked when you do the necessary work, that you can later use to help other people and to further your own evolution. So it is a self-development tool. Now, most times these shadow qualities are unconscious, meaning that we aren't even aware of them at all within ourselves. Yet when we have the intention to become more self-aware and to work on ourselves, the shadow will then be revealed to us. Just like there are two sides to every coin, my loves, there are two sides to every human being, light and dark. The shadow is something that's completely normal. It's not something to fear or be ashamed of. We all have it in our own unique expressions. Just remember that what you resist in life persists and gets stronger. Shadow qualities may include the following things: intense jealousy, racism, hate towards the opposite sex, control and power issues, addictions, manipulative tendencies, eating disorders, body dysmorphia, obsessions, promiscuity, rage, greed, and selfishness. Now, of course, these are just a few. If I continued listing these, we could go on an entire day or more just listing shadow qualities. Moving forward, I will be referencing some of the things that I learned from the book Meeting the Shadow by Scott Jeffrey. The shadow is everything that we can't see within ourselves. Human beings do everything possible in order to create a persona, okay? A big mask which protects their self-image from anybody seeing who they truly are underneath. Now, you can imagine this as the type of mask that we might wear to a masquerade party. Now, of course, we're doing this intentionally when we take the base of the mask and we add layers. So we glue on the lace and we glue on the feathers and we glue on all the jewels. And we just add layer and layer to the point where we get to the party and nobody even has any idea that it's us because we've done such a good job creating this mask, right? And like I said, of course, this is intentional, but in real life, we actually do this unintentionally, creating this image, which is the ego self. It's a lot easier for us to see the shadow in other people, but what about in ourselves? It's not so easy, is it? Now this Halloween, this Scorpio season, it's time to peel back the layers of this mask. There are some amazing benefits of shadow work, which include becoming more authentic and true to who you really are. So becoming this person that maybe you didn't even know existed. Unveiling more creativity and maybe some hidden gifts. Spiritual as well as personal awakenings. And major epiphanies and realizations about yourself, about life, and about reality. When you construct your persona, you create a view of who you want to be based off of your past experiences, your belief systems, and the way that you view the world. Anything that does not fit within this construct becomes part of the shadow. The disowned self, if you will. What's interesting is that these disowned parts, they don't leave us, they stay harbored in our bodies. So we try to get rid of them, but unbeknownst to us, they stay right here with us in our bodies and in our unconscious mind. And then they subconsciously affect our behaviors. You can think of you and your shadow like Siamese twins. You may not want to accept this other half of you, but you two are always going to share the same space and be affected by each other no matter what. So whether you would rather just be one person instead of two, you can't. So you might as well accept one another and learn to work together. And this is true for the shadow as well. It's always going to be part of you. You can't get rid of it. It's part of you. So you have to learn to work with it and find some acceptance. Get rid of the shame, the guilt. One interesting thing that the book Meeting the Shadow touched on was that the ancient Greeks knew that a god or a goddess you ignored would become the one who turned on you and destroyed you. Now, any part that we disown or ignore within us, it'll turn against us. The same is true. With that said, the shadow within us can be powered on without our consent. This can result in outrageous outbursts, erratic behavior, saying things that you wouldn't normally say, acting out aggressively, and maybe getting wrapped up in addictions once again, feeling the need to overindulge, amongst many other things. Here's another important line to ponder from the book. Whatever qualities we deny in ourselves, we see in others. This is called projection. Our ego uses this behavior as a defense mechanism. It wants to remain good. As a human being, we feel like we must be perceived as a good person, not a bad person, but a good person. And this is something that is ingrained in us. We are conditioned to be this way since a very young age. Now, I wanted to read a quote to you, and it's about this whole idea of being good. This is something that rang very, very true to me. It says, "I used to try to be good. I thought no one wanted me as I was, so good was my go-to. But good, she got me nowhere. Not like truth. Truth, she tore me to shreds, devoured me whole, and spit me out shaking and new. Truth keeps a box of matches in my pocket, while good made me afraid of transformative fire. Truth keeps me real, even if it makes everyone in the room uncomfortable. And truth, unlike good, doesn't let me bow down to bullshit or undeserving soapboxes. Truth doesn't let me give in to bullies, misguided and fear-based criticism, or cowards. Truth is a queen and a humanitarian, while good, she's a silent, scared little sheep. Truth knows that good dulls my already radiant, fierce, and loving soul. Good showed me how to hide my wings, my words, and my angel vision. Truth taught me to be brave. Truth taught me how to respect myself. Truth allows me to hold impenetrable space for any story, but first and foremost, for my own. And truth, well, she changes everything. And friend, she's coming for you too. I just thought that rang really true. That quote is by Tanya Markle. So moving on from here, how do we effectively work with our shadow qualities? I want to give you a couple examples of how to do shadow work from that book, Meeting Your Shadow. The first one is to bring awareness to it by watching your emotional reactions on a daily basis and also observing your behaviors towards different things. So this will be a good way of unlocking that path towards finding what these shadow qualities are. And then record your observations to review. So if you have a strong reaction to something or to someone, there's definitely a very good indication there that your shadow is at work behind the scenes. So you want to pay extra close attention to these things. Everything that irritates us about others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves. I understand it can be difficult for us to observe and record what we're observing on the daily while we're doing work at our jobs or whatever else we might have going on with our children. But at the end of the day, make sure you take time to do an end of day reflection where you jot down all of these things that you observed so that you can learn from them, which will help you to integrate your shadow qualities and also help you to be aware of them first and foremost. And moving on to number 2, don't be afraid to talk to yourself, to engage in that inner dialogue. We want to observe the stories and the dialogue that's going on inside of our minds, and no, this doesn't make us crazy if we talk to ourselves. I will tell you that 100%. I learned a great phrase to ask yourself from my first yoga teacher, who was also my mentor, and she said, when these crazy things are going through your mind, when you are telling yourself certain stories internally, maybe you have a really strong opinion about something, it's very interesting if you just stop and ask yourself, is that so? And just see the response that comes up. This really helps you to determine if you actually believe these stories yourself or not. It's almost just minimizing the way that you're viewing things internally, stopping for a moment to see if you actually believe it. And most of the time, you'll realize that you don't. So when these things come up for you, ask yourself, is that so? Is that so? All in all, engaging with your inner voice will help you to better understand and to integrate your shadow as well. All right, my friends, these are just a few examples, of course, of many, many, many different approaches to doing shadow work. And there are so many more, of course. So if this is a topic that you're interested in and you would like me to do additional videos on it, I have some great ideas. So please just let me know in the comment box below. Also 2 amazing books to check out regarding this topic. One I discussed in this video, Meeting the Shadow, The Hidden Power of the Dark Side of Human Nature, and Owning Your Shadow, Understanding the Dark Side of the Psyche by Robert Johnson, if you're interested in learning more. Now, I understand that Scorpio season, these times that we're in, all these retrogrades combined can be really heavy time for everybody. And I want to read you one last quote to end here. Maybe something that will help you during these crazy and uncertain times. Maybe all of this is meant to guide you to a place where you are truly loved, needed, and belong. Maybe the right time, the right doors, are just around the corner. And no matter what struggles you're going through right now, you can hold on to the hope that you are going to make it through. That quote is by Demon. And if you are still with me at the end of this video, thank you so much for tuning in once again. I just absolutely love spending this time with you. Please leave me 3 pumpkin emojis in the comments below, as well as any takeaways from the video. I am so happy to have you guys here with me today. Don't forget to hit subscribe, as well as tap that like button below so that YouTube will help share this video with anyone else that may need to hear this today. Thank you once again, my loves. Namaste and peace.